My beautiful Darci went out with her buddies. 48 hours later, she was dead. Holly Hagan weeps as she reveals her sister's dying hours in frank interview that will strike horror in every parent. Holly Hagan has opened up to the Daily Mail for the first time about the traumatic final moments of her sister's life after she sadly died from an accidental drug overdose aged just 19. The former Geordie Shore star, 33, broke down in tears as she described how her sister, Darci Rose Gibson, died barely 48 hours after using crystal MDMA, disclosing the terrible line of events that led to her passing in October. In an exclusive interview, Holly told how her sister had gone to Manchester's Warehouse Project nightclub, where she slipped the substance into her drink. Within hours, Darci experienced 2 heart arrests, leaving her struggling for her life in hospital. Holly, who is mother to 2-year-old Alpha Jacks and recently announced she is expecting her second child with football husband Jacob Blythe, 33, described the unbearable sight of her younger sister lying in a hospital bed, her body covered in tubes and wires, blood pouring from her mouth and nose. Despite fervent pleas from the family, including Darci's parents, Holly's mother Vicky, and stepfather John, they knew the moment they saw her, with doctors having taped her eyelids shut, that there was no possibility of recovery. Holly believed the agonized screams of her heartbroken mother will be etched into her consciousness forever, as she now speaks out in the hope of raising awareness about the catastrophic effects of recreational drug use, the very dangers that have torn her family apart. Holly said, "My stepdad John was bringing Darci and her best friend to Manchester because they were going for a night out. She adored Manchester and going out in Manchester. We are from quite a tiny town named Middlesbrough, so it's good to go out in the bigger cities. He is the type of parent who would drive her anywhere she wanted and take her somewhere, even a 2-hour trip to Manchester. The next day, we were all going to be together, my stepdad, Darci, and my son, Alpha Jacks. That was the idea. We all went to bed that night, and about 5 a.m., I heard a faint knock on my door, and I thought my son had woken up. But I checked at my phone to see the time, and I had 130 missed calls. My heart fell, and you know when your whole body swings into panic. The first message I received was in capital letters, saying, 'We are with your sister. You need to get to Manchester Royal Infirmary right now. Please call us back.' And that was at 2 a.m. My whole body was in combat gear. I sat on the toilet shaking. Holly recalled how her greatest fears were realized the instant she arrived at the hospital and discovered the full magnitude of Darci's condition. She was told by physicians that her sister had taken crystal MDMA during the night out, and unknowing the drug's deadly potential, the hours that followed would prove fatal. MDMA, sometimes known as Molly or ecstasy, is a recreational party drug that can leave users feeling cheerful, energized, and more sociable. It occurs in numerous forms, including tablets, powder, capsules, and crystals. Holly revealed that while Darci had never taken MDMA in crystal form before, she had experimented with drugs in the past on occasions, such as attending the music event Creamfields. Darci went out that night, and for the first time had taken the crystal version of MDMA. We know that she put an unknown quantity in her drink, Holly stated. I'm not sure why she did, but the event she was going to, the Warehouse Project, it's a pretty drug-heavy event. I have been there myself, and I know what happens. My one regret is not contacting her inquiring, 'Are you taking anything tonight? What are you taking? Please be careful.' Some people may say she was reckless for using drugs, but in the domain of taking drugs, when I have spoken to her friends who have been out with her and been to Creamfield with her and the festivals are rife for drug use. We all know that. Her friends say she was always so wise. She would never take a whole pill. She would take a quarter, and it was only at these kind of parties that she would do that. I still to this day don't know why I didn't message her, and I don't dare if there's anything I could have done to change anything, but all I know is that she had the bag. She's in a dark club, and being naive and not realizing how much a quantity is because she's never taken a version of this drug before. She has poured it into her drink. Her friend stated there was still a lot left, but if you have seen that substance before you know it comes as powder, and there are pebbles in there as well. What occurred is possibly the bigger rocks had gone into her drink, and it still appeared like there was a lot left in the bag. But it was enough for it to be an overdose. As Darci's older sister by 13 years, Holly has battled to put together her dying hours, retracing the teen steps and speaking to her friends and boyfriend who were with her that night. Holly added that after taking the medicine, Darci initially felt poorly and vomited, but after being comforted outside the venue by her partner, she seemed well enough to continue her night, even making films on her phone. But just 45 minutes later, Darci's situation took a dramatic, disastrous turn. Medical workers at the warehouse project raced to her aid when she fell into cardiac arrest, responding promptly to try to save her life. Holly said she went in a medical tent, and at this moment she is presenting okay, but the chemical reaction in her body is still continuing, and no one knows what is going on. She was incredibly paranoid, couldn't recognize anyone, and was shouting like she was being attacked. Then she collapsed. The warehouse project had 2 ambulances, 11 medical workers working that night, and 9 of them were working on my sister. She went into cardiac arrest, and they brought her back in a minute, so she had the best chance of survival at that time. They got her in the ambulance and immediately to Manchester Royal Infirmary, where she went into cardiac arrest again, and they brought her back with chest compressions. They had to shock her again, but this was because her heart was beating out of rhythm. At this point, they were attempting to keep her alive and stable. She was undergoing dialysis. Her kidneys had completely packed up. The medics informed us very openly that she had taken quantity of MDMA. Her body had heated up to a point of severe heat. They cooled her as best as they could and were keeping her stable, but they wouldn't know the extent of everything until she was stable and they could do a brain scan.